Caitlin Clark out for the remainder of the 2025 season, something we all think we knew was coming after what Stephanie White said earlier today. We couldn't be too sure until we see it for ourselves. And with this announcement from the GOAT's mouth herself, Caitlin Clark won't be returning this.
Caitlin Clark has officially shut down her 2025 season, and fans everywhere are in shock. With just one announcement, the internet exploded. Some people are heartbroken, others are angry, and a few are even coming up with wild theories. This news isn't something you can just scroll past. It's the kind that makes everyone stop, pay attention, and realize that things in the basketball world just took a huge turn.
Surprising at this point, but still incredibly disappointing. Caitlin Clark officially done for the 2025 WNBA season, as she and the Fever announced on social media. The Fever and Clark saying that she tried to get back on the floor. It appears that she just ran out of time, not able to get enough confidence back in her body as the season wraps up and the playoffs are likely about to begin for Indiana. I mean, it's a gut punch that basically encompasses an entire season.
Now we're left facing the reality that Caitlin Clark's basketball story might have ended far too early. She was the star who filled arenas, brought new fans to women's basketball, and made every game feel like a must-see event. But now she's stuck on the sidelines, and people are already asking tough questions. Could this be it? Could one injury wipe away all the excitement, the records, and the highlights, leaving her remembered as just a one-season wonder?
Statement saying this: I had hoped to share a better update, but I will not be returning to play this season. I spent hours in the gym every day with the singular goal of getting back out there. Disappointed isn't a big enough word to describe how I am feeling. I want to thank everyone who had my back through all the uncertainty. This has been incredibly frustrating, but even in the bad, there is good. The way the fans continue to show up for me and for the Fever brought me so much joy and important perspective. I am so proud of how this team has only gotten stronger through adversity this year. Now it's time to close out the season and claim our spot in the...
The truth is, the sports world forgets fast. One day you're the face of basketball, and the next you're just a name people bring up while arguing about the next big rookie. Caitlin Clark had a breakout season that looked like the start of something legendary, but now she's facing injuries that make even her biggest supporters worry about her future. It's a harsh reality. Sports doesn't care about sold-out arenas, record-breaking jersey sales, or the kids who idolize you. In the end, it only cares if you can keep stepping onto the court.
Fever have lost so many players to injury, but obviously none bigger than Clark. And there was such a wait for this second season after her magnificent rookie season. And then, the anticipation of her possibly coming back, only for that not to happen, takes a lot of air out of the room, obviously takes a lot of energy out of the fans, and is a devastating blow for not just the Fever and the WNBA. But the good news is her career is not over. But it's a tough blow when it all comes crashing down like that. And ever since Stephanie White's...
Right now, Caitlin Clark isn't playing. She's doing press conferences and reading carefully written statements that sound like damage control. It doesn't feel like I'll be back stronger. It feels more like please don't forget about me while she disappears into rehab and recovery.
All right, so now, I don't know who asked the question. The young lady, shout out to you. She said, hey, are you guys gonna make an announcement? Like that, I appreciate you at least. You didn't say it as blunt as I would have, but you said it. You asked the question. Hey, because now she's saying, yeah, the plan on this West Coast trip was to evaluate. How you gonna evaluate her if she never had contact? What's the evaluation? She's been able to shoot jump shots. She's been able to run up and down the court by herself with nobody touching her. What was there to evaluate? Now you're pushing it through the weekend, leading us on, having us dangling in the air.
And of course, the trolls are loving this. People who barely knew her name a year ago are suddenly acting like medical experts, saying she'll never play again and calling her the Greg Oden of women's basketball before she's even cashed her second paycheck. That's the internet. If you're not performing, you become entertainment in a different way. Some athletes bounce back quickly, others never do, and no one knows yet which side Caitlin Clark will fall on. It's harsh how fast things changed. Not long ago, she was lighting up defenses, scoring like it was a video game, and breezing through interviews with the confidence of someone who looked like she had basketball all figured out.
Oh, there you have it, folks. My hot take from earlier this year, all of a sudden, not so hot. Caitlin Clark announced that she's going to be out for the rest of the season. Obviously, a nice little post here thanking her teammates, saying she fought back, was in the gym trying to come back. She wanted to, but Caitlin Clark not returning for the rest of the season. It makes sense considering where the Fever are at in the playoffs right now. Right now, they are making the playoffs. They're the 8th seed, so it would be the final seed there. But are they going to make much noise? Chloe Bibby just went out for the rest of the season. She was one of the...
Now every update about Caitlin Clark feels more like a soap opera than a sports story. Fans are asking, will she return? Will she ever be the same? Or has her confidence already taken a hit? Instead of watching her highlights, people are analyzing her medical reports, maybe because it's easier than admitting they might have already seen her peak. The truth is, not every career ends with a farewell tour and a standing ovation. Some just stop. For every athlete who makes a legendary comeback, there are plenty who fade into obscurity and get remembered only in trivia questions. The media isn't helping either. They're already debating if Clark was overrated, if she was just hype, or if this proves women's basketball can't support a true superstar the way men's basketball can. It's draining, but that's the reality.
Clark is out for the rest of the WNBA season. She had posted this whole statement on Instagram as well as the Fever officially announcing it just now here on this Thursday evening. And there have been some talks about from the Fever staff about her potentially trying to come back, and they had kind of been trying to drag this out as much as possible over the course of this season, but there simply seems to just not be enough time in this season for them to fully feel comfortable in getting her healthy. And the message that has been sent has always been the most important thing is her long-term health. That is what the Indiana Fever...
In sports, you can't just be injured, you have to become a symbol of something bigger, something dramatic enough to spark debate. Caitlin Clark's knee isn't just a knee anymore, it's now tied to the future of women's basketball. And here's the tough part, she only had one season before everything collapsed. One magical run, one batch of viral highlights, 1 year of being the chosen one. If that's her whole resume, how do we define it? Was it true greatness, or just a brief, electrifying moment in time? Sports history doesn't usually celebrate short stories, it favors long, epic careers. So people keep asking, will she come back? Will she be the same? Or did the Caitlin Clark era end before it ever really began? The irony is, if she never returns, her legend might actually grow. Athletes who burn out early often become myths, remembered more for what they could have been than for what they actually achieved.
Young lady finally had the balls to ask somebody, hey, are you guys going to make an announcement? You said you're having a meeting. You had your evaluation on the West Coast trip. Now you're going to have a meeting. Are you guys going to let the fans know what the hell is going on? Because y'all keep collecting ticket money. Y'all keep promoting that she's going to be at this arena and that arena. Y'all keep saying that she's day to day. First we heard she might be back for the Minnesota Lynx the first time we played them a week ago. She wasn't even ready for that. A miraculous ankle injury popped up.
Caitlin Clark could end up as basketball's biggest what if, the unstoppable star who never got her sequel. In a strange way, that might even make her legend bigger than if she'd played 10 more seasons as just very good. Sports fans have always loved tragedies almost as much as champions. And that's where we are now. Clark, once the unstoppable storm, has become the game's biggest question mark. Her injury might turn out to be just a small setback in a long, dominant career, or it could be the moment that ends her story. No one knows, but everyone is watching, speculating, and even secretly enjoying the drama. The scariest thought of all? What if she never recovers? That possibility isn't just rumor, it's the nightmare hanging over the sport. Imagine it. The player hailed as the savior of women's basketball, suddenly remembered as the decade's most famous what could have been. It's the kind of cruel irony that makes even casual fans shake their heads, like the basketball gods dangled a gift and snatched it away before anyone could truly enjoy it.
Well, here we are, the next morning, The next morning after it was announced that Caitlin Clark would not be returning this season, something that I think most of us pretty much knew for maybe at least the last couple of weeks. I heavily suspected it for the last, if I'm being real, last month. Although I kept kind of holding out hope because, well, I wanted a reason to keep watching these games. And that's why the Indiana Fever has gotten dogged at as an...
One moment Caitlin Clark is the headline star, and the next she's the cautionary tale coaches used to warn players about burning out too fast. And the media, they're eating it up. They love creating superstars just so they can tear them down. Clark was their golden goose, boosting ratings, selling jerseys, and creating viral moments. But now the story has flipped. Instead of celebrating her rise, the coverage is all about speculation, fear, and whether her career might already be over. Forget rehab updates, this is about drama and the possible collapse of an empire before it even got started. It's harsh, but fans can't look away. As much as they cheer for success, they're also drawn to the spectacle of a star struggling. Could this injury actually end her career? Yes, it's possible. Many athletes have been stopped before they ever truly took off. No matter how hard you train, bodies aren't unbreakable. Some injuries just don't heal right. And if Clark's doesn't, all that hype could end up gathering dust as nothing more than unrealized potential.
And to the disappointment to a lot of people, she will not play for the rest of the season. Now, what does this mean for her? Rest. Big time rest. Get healthy. That's the number one thing. When you miss a full season, it's tough to come back and not be rusty. So I think a lot of the off season is going to be spent rehabbing her legs, getting stronger, and just working towards getting back to 2026 so that she can be healthy and take on the full season.
Scary thing for Caitlin Clark is that her margin for error is razor thin. She doesn't have a decade of dominance, a shelf full of trophies, or years of highlights to back her up. She has one season, one incredible, unstoppable season where she looked untouchable. If she can't build on that, her whole career could be reduced to a YouTube playlist called Caitlin Clark's Best Plays Before the Injury. And no athlete wants to be remembered as a playlist instead of a legacy. That's where the debate gets heated. Some fans argue her impact is already legendary, even if she never plays again. But the truth is, her story is still unfinished, and now it feels like construction has stopped mid-project. To make it tougher, the sports world never slows down. While Clark rehabs, the league will keep moving forward. New stars will rise, and by the time she's ready, if she ever is, the spotlight may have shifted somewhere else. In sports, the clock never stops, not even for its brightest stars.
A conversation and a agreement that would have happened between the Fever organization and I assume Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA. We don't want to mess these ratings up now. We don't want to mess those ratings up now, do we? Let's make it look like she's going to come back. So I knew there was going to be a lot of reaction today and last night, overnight. And Amber Cox, the CEO and general manager for the Fever, has released a statement on Twitter X, and it has gotten quite the response from Caitlin Clark fans.
And that might be the cruelest part. Even if Caitlin Clark heals and comes back, there's no guarantee the world will still be waiting for her. The mental battle could be harder than the physical one. Imagine going from dominating every night to sitting on the sidelines, watching others take the spotlight that used to be yours. It eats at you. It makes you question everything. Will I ever be the same? Do people still care? Was my peak already behind me? Those doubts get loud when the crowds are gone. Then comes the pressure, the crushing weight of being called the face of the league, the savior of the sport, the future of everything. And suddenly, with one injury, you're forced to wonder if that future even has room for you. That's not just physical rehab, it's mental demolition. Yet somehow, she's expected to smile, stay positive, and pretend like her world isn't crumbling. The performance doesn't stop, even when the games do.
WNBA ratings' worst nightmare just came true because it was just announced that Caitlin Clark will be out for the rest of the season. She's only played 13 games this season, and her most recent injury, which happened back in July, was a groin injury. The craziest part about all of this has been the reporting around her injury. The team has never given her a timetable for return, and literally up until today, the team had been reporting that she was still trying to get back on the court this season. The Fever only have 3 regular season games left in the season before playoffs. Some fans were even speculating that they've just been stringing fans along the whole time because they know that ratings and attendance.
What's wild is how this single injury could reshape Caitlin Clark's entire story. If she comes back and dominates, she won't just be a star, she'll be a legend, the comeback hero who stared down adversity and won. But if she doesn't, she becomes the tragic figure, the player who had it all and lost it before she ever really got started. Either way, her name is carved into history. It's just a question of whether it belongs in the heroes column or the tragedies one. And the impact doesn't stop with her. Sponsors, broadcasters, even the league itself tied their hopes and marketing to Clark. That's part of why her story resonates, because in a twisted way, it's relatable. We've all felt like something was taken from us too soon. In that sense, her story might echo louder than if she'd simply gone on to have a steady, successful career. So yes, it's possible this is the end. It's possible Caitlin Clark's career ends before it truly begins, and we'll look back at her one shining season as the whole story. It's harsh, but it's also the kind of reality sports has always thrived on.
Those that don't know, Caitlin Clark recently put out a statement basically saying that she is out for the remainder of the season. Sad news for the basketball world. Avid WNBA fans know that Caitlin Clark has been sidelined for weeks, actually months, due to her growing injury. Has been putting a lot of work in, rehabbing, trying to get back onto the court. And some people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs because right now the Fever sit at the 8th spot. Not sure if they'll be able to keep the 8th spot and get into the playoffs, but a lot of people had high hopes that she would make it back in time for the playoffs. I'm personally glad that the Indiana Fever and Caitlin Clark decided to just rest her for the rest of the season and just shut it.
One moment you feel untouchable, the next you realize how fragile it all is. And the cruel beauty of sports is that nobody knows how the story ends, not even the athlete living it. That's where Caitlin Clark stands now, stuck at the million-dollar question. Is this really the end, or just the most dramatic halftime break in basketball history? She's not just missing a few games, she's holding her entire future in suspense, like a cliffhanger out of a sports soap opera. Either she pulls off one of the greatest comebacks ever, or she becomes the most famous one-hit wonder the game has ever seen. By the time she's ready, if she's ready, the spotlight may have already moved on. That's the brutal truth, but it's also what keeps people glued to her story because no matter how this ends, whether it's her rise, her fall, or her tragic epilogue, Clark has already done something most athletes never manage. She's made herself unforgettable. The real question isn't just if she'll play again, but what version of Caitlin Clark will we see if she does? A comeback queen, or the ghost of a career that ended too soon? Either way, the world will be watching.